Hello, everyone. I'm Daryl from the MakeCode team, and today we have another Friday stream of the Arcade Advanced stream, where we often do something different, sometimes a little bit more advanced or unique on Fridays. And so my co-streamers with me are...
I'm Shannon. I'm at Shakal on the MakeCode forum.
I'm Richard on the forum and in real life.
And I'm Joey at JWonderl on the MakeCode forum.
Awesome. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the stream before the stream about maybe making a tower defense game. How does that sound to everyone?
Great.
Yeah.
Love tower defense games.
Awesome. So we're going to try and do this in blocks, but just as a kind of warning, we might switch over to JavaScript depending on if we're able to make this work kind of partway through the stream.
Yeah, last time I tried to do a tower defense in blocks was a long time ago when we had a lot fewer extensions and blocks. So it might go a lot better this time.
Yes, yes. We will see. Okay, so we've got a blank canvas here. And let's see. So the first thing we probably want to do is just set up kind of a little bit of a world, create a tile map for our tower defense. Let's think of a theme, or environment that we want to be in. Does anyone have any crazy ideas?
Crazy ideas.
Well, we could just do like, a space station or something, but I feel like that's boring.
We have roads. I don't know if that's...
For some reason, I want it to be in a swamp. I don't know.
I like swamps.
I do want to see a pixel art swamp because those always look cool.
So the towers could be frogs and they shoot out their tongues to get like mosquitoes or something.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll do it. Why are these frogs defending the swamp?
Because they need to eat.
They're just like, it's like flies or like dragonflies or whatever, right? Like they zap them.
Yeah. Maybe they're
but
protecting
typically
their
with
eggs.
tower defense, right, you're defending something, and when enough get through, then it's like game over. And it's kind of hard to...
How about frog eggs?
Eggs, yeah.
That seems like something, frog eggs?
Could be. It's a little dark.
That's true. And I don't know if like small flies attack frog eggs, but I would imagine there's got to be some that do.
I mean, it could just be something like, I don't know, a pile of acorns. And the flies are trying to take the acorns. I don't know.
All right, we'll have ambiguous little blobs that they're defending, and it'll be kind of left up to the viewer to infer what's going on there. Okay, so let's get started with our base. So let me kind of see if there's anything we can use, actually. You guys think of any tiles that we would just want to use?
I mean, those ground ones, if you go to...
aren't too bad.
No, the end of the forest.
These ones?
Like the purple ones, I think those look very swampy.
Mm-hmm.
I can't quite tell what these are. Are these supposed to be from the side?
They're like side-scrolling platforms, I think.
Yeah, they're like dirt
blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking top down. I'm not sure how you would do a from the side tower defense game.
Sure
those exist. Okay, I'll create some new tiles. So let's see. So first I'm going to create kind of the things that we're protecting of ambiguous nature.
Those some weird colored acorns.
Yeah, well, maybe it's Easter time, and this is actually, it's all good fun. They're just kind of
protecting Easter eggs.
A toxic, like, accident or something, like the thing that turned Alex Mack into that puddle of goo.
Oh yeah, maybe the frogs are protecting their radioactive source for their mutation. Okay, I'm gonna fill these in. Okay, so this is what we're protecting. Okay, it's gonna be up here.
Yeah, I'd want to feel that.
Let's see. So I'm gonna need some sort of wall what's a good swampy wall? I feel like bog trees that are sort of there's a name for these.
No.
That banyan?
think of-
Banyan, I think.
I think they just sort of have kind of crazy roots that go out. And
Yeah, banyan trees. They're like fig trees with like a bunch of like intertwined roots and things going up.
I don't know if this is clear that it's a tree, but
Once we add in all of the other swamp detail you're going to be doing.
yeah, I think this is going to be, what should the swamp color be? This kind of teal?
I think the teal is pretty swampy, but purple is also swampy.
But you
Yeah.
could leave it transparent and just set the background, right?
Yeah, that's probably easier.
That makes more sense. Handy thing about tile maps. Okay, I'll add little bits of detail in here though. Definitely gonna need some green, some red. Okay, these. Okay, so these will be walls. So let's. This looks pretty bad. They don't tile nicely, but
Looks
you know what?
great.
We can work
Keep going.
with this for now. Yeah. Let's say this is kind of the end, and there's going to be some big avenues for the attackers to kind of come from, and maybe they'll come from like over here. Yeah, let's make a place for the attackers to spawn from. So how about like some sort of hive looking thing? Thinking like, actually, if it was sort of don't know if this is gonna work out, but I've got an idea. Sort of like mound thing. It's gonna have
Termite's nest.
like, these holes.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know if that's really coming
Oh, I
across.
see. Like a wasp's nest.
Yeah.
Don't termite mounds also have holes? I don't know if that's true.
It's like big pillars of dirt.
That looks like bug could come out of that, right?
Oh, it definitely does.
Oh, yeah,
That's
for sure.
incredibly ominous.
Okay, cool. And now, so we probably want slots where our towers can go, or do you think our towers can just go anywhere that's not taken?
If we do anywhere that's not taken, we're going to have to figure out if they make it impossible or not.
Yeah.
So I think that it's
Let's have
probably
slots.
yeah, it's probably easier to have slots.
Okay, I'll design some. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start simple with this one sort of like marked square or something.
Yeah, it could just be a square with an X in it.
All right, something to signify. And then eventually our tower will go on there anyway. So, okay. Now let's see.
Lily Darn.
What's that?
Lily pads.
Oh,
Oh,
for the
yeah.
tower spawn spots. That's too good. We have to change this. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna create a new one because I don't like throwing away work. So
edit
lily
files.
pads have like a little notch in them, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a
Something
circle
like
with
this.
a V
Kind
in
of-
it.
Yeah, that's
Sort
great.
of a heart shape. And then maybe a little bit more pronounced of a notch.
Yeah, and then I would just make
Often they have the flower, right?
pink.
Pink. Yeah. Okay, let's see how that looks. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll have some spots there, some spots here. Maybe you get like a couple towards the entrance, a few here. Okay, something like that. We'll start with that and we'll see. And I think this part here is just going to be kind of blocked off for now, and we'll come back to this later maybe. So now I'm going to draw walls for all of this. So let's use our handy tools to save us time.
It's worth noting that on beta, this is much better thanks to a community contribution. Now, if you use the fill tool on top of a tile
Yes.
while using walls, it'll fill all of the tiles that have the same thing underneath with walls.
Mhm.
So it makes it
Yes.
really quick to fill in big parts of the thing without
Yeah.
making the entire map into a red square, which is what currently happens.
Yeah, that sounds great. So I'm thinking the lily pads probably need to be walls just because, so thinking ahead a little bit, the enemies are going to want to path to the base. And so I think we want them to path around the walls. So, okay, I'll start with that. Let's kind of see how this looks. Cool. So let's set that background color to slightly less creepy swamp.
Just scary
And-
swamp, not horrifying swamp.
Yeah, I think this looks like a decent swamp. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
All right, we'll start with this. I'm going to create kind of a cursor sprite, or maybe, I don't know, some symbolic thing that is like, you know, me. And I'm going to just start with something simple for now that we can make more complicated later. So let's
Daryl,
say
this is
something.
nothing like you.
Well, I'm glad you say so. I was worried. Okay.
You probably
so
want to be a ghost, I'm guessing.
Yes, probably a ghost. Let's do that.
I thought we were moving
so-
from the spooky swamp.
Yeah, it's true. Joey, what does ghost mean?
It means that it won't interact with the walls or the other sprites. So in this case, it can go through walls, like, you know, real ghosts.
Yes, exactly. Everyone knows ghosts that go through everything, all walls. So a classic problem we have is that our sprite goes off screen. So we need a camera follow. I'm just going to search for a camera follow, add that in here, and say our cursor follows the camera. All right, so now we can see the map. Let's just start spawning enemies and kind of see what goes wrong. So I'm going to just say every second, we're going to create an enemy. And let's see. So what should our first enemy be? Mosquito?
Well, it looks like a wasp's nest. We could do wasps.
Wasp? Yeah.
They're easy to
Good,
draw
actually.
too, 'cause it's just black and yellow stripes.
Yes, that sounds
Daryl's
good.
an expert at drawing, you know, bees.
I can draw the humble bee. I don't know if I can do a wasp. Wasps? Let's see. They're a little
Isn't-
more angled.
A wasp,
It's
just
got
a bee with a
OP.
frown on its face?
Let's see. No, that doesn't like.
You could just draw a bee. I think they, you know,
Well, no.
the time when I see
Bees
a
are
bee, I
good.
look at it for a
So-
while and be like, is that a wasp?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna add a little pokey thing.
What perspective are you going for here? That's a wing. It's from the side. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is the wing.
Oh, it's like the wasps in Donkey Kong Country.
So
They're sort of, yeah, it's definitely angled. I don't know if this is coming across.
once you add stripes, yeah, there we go.
That's a bee. I can see it.
No, it's not a bee, Joey. It's a
Oh,
wasp.
it's a scary bee. Wasps are just scary bees.
Does it look like it's got a menacing stinger? I think I need to shift this a little bit. I don't think stingers bend.
Well, they are like sometimes hooked.
No, you have it hooked down. I think that's good.
Oh, okay.
Like the end of its.
But I would make it a little
Body.
curvier.
A little curvier.
That's
And like erase the corner.
yeah.
Yeah.
That?
There you go. I think you missed a few pixels on the wings.
Parents.
Did. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
I think. Okay, this is good enough for now. We'll do more later. Or maybe I'll just erase a little bit, trying to make it a little bit pointier of a head.
It definitely looks like a bee. I think you're good. I mean, sorry, a hornet.
Wasp. Actually, what is the difference between wasps and hornets? Does anyone know?
I'm not convinced that there is one. Let me look it up.
They're different things. There's like a lot of different words for all of these subspecies.
As many people know, the Arcade Advanced stream is also an animal facts stream.
Animal facts,
Indeed.
forest facts.
Indeed. Yes. Whoops. Why did I start typing?
So basically, hornets are just the worst wasps. They're like the ones that are super angry and can be fatal to humans. Wasps are angrier than bees, but not as angry as hornets.
So like wasps have the upside, like the frown, and then hornets have the angled eyebrows too, because they're really mad. That's about it.
Yes. I think that's right. Okay, so something you'll run into right away if you're trying to make a tower defense game is how do you make it so that the wasps go towards our base? And obviously, if you just set some velocity, no matter what it is, it's not going to reach. So I can think of a couple things, and just kind of want to discuss options really quick. So one is like our hallway schoolyard game. We could have arrows marked on the ground that sort of like signify the path. And when the bees hit those arrows, they sort of update kind of which direction they're going. So they could come out of here with a certain speed and then come down this way and over this way, up this way, and over. That would actually probably work pretty well in this case. However, we did, there is maybe an easier way to do this, which is that one of our awesome people on this stream, Joey, has created an extension that makes it much easier to do this kind of thing. It's called pathfinding. And Joey implemented a pathfinding algorithm called A*, which isn't too important to know unless you want to Google that. But anyway, I say we try using that extension. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Yeah. I've already been using it. It's great.
Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to go to extensions. And Joey, do you want to tell me the URL?
Yeah, I'll paste it in the chat in case that helps. It's github.com/ Okay, yeah, you can just copy it.
AC. This is all going on stream, so hopefully we didn't post anything embarrassing.
I think I might be wrong, but I think the chat clears every time we restart this meeting.
Okay, good.
Like it did. So.
I see the history.
Oh, okay.
Weird.
Daryl didn't show it though.
Oh, because I join as a guest every time, so it shows up as fresh every time.
Oh, okay.
Which is lucky thing.
So it adds another scene for us.
Yeah, it's in scene.
Sweet. Okay, so let's see. Where is this thing? It looks like. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah.
Is it scene or is it sprite?
It's right
Oh,
here.
here it is.
So
we
it
got
just adds the
this
2 for now.
2 blocks. Okay, so I'm going to drag these out, and then maybe let's talk about these a little bit, and then we'll get to using them. So actually, Joey, do you want to kind of give us an overview? What do these do?
Okay, so the first one finds a path between 2 locations, and it does the whole like magic pathfinding stuff that you can find if you search for A*, but it tries to just go around in circles until it can find what's the fastest way to get between point A and point B on the map. So you give it 2 locations. You might have to think about how to define those. We might, the other package, the town maps package might help for that.
Okay.
These are usual.
Or just hard code it, yeah.
All locations and then get the first one.
Yeah. So that will find the shortest path. And then the other block just takes that path. It's an array of locations, if that matters. And it follows the path for the sprite. So it sets the velocity and moves them along that direction.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, so this is going to return a special path type object, which we can't use really anywhere except for this one block. But that's going to do
it's just an array of locations, actually, so you can if you want.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow. Could you even enumerate? Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool. Didn't know it was an array of locations.
That would be
great.
fun. So let's do the path, loop over it, and set all the tiles so we can see what the path is.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be cool. Then we can visualize what's going on. Okay, great. So the first thing I need to use this is the start and end location. So actually, I'm gonna do a slight detour, and actually, it's not gonna work. No, it's not gonna work. Never mind. I was gonna show how to make a function to do this, but instead I am just going to find the locations a different way. So Richard hinted at this. So basically, I think what we're going to do is we're going to loop over all locations that are this location. This will be kind of the end. And for each of those, we're just going to set that to, actually, we'll call this base location. Oops, spelling.
Base location.
And now you might be thinking, well, there's only one of them. Why are we looping? So the thing is, Arcade doesn't know there's only one of them, right? We could place an arbitrary number of these. So we can't get a single location. We have to be getting all of the locations. In this case, there'll be only one, so it'll just enter the loop once, and it'll always set the base location appropriately. Sorry.
Another way to do this, Daryl, is inside the array category, there's a get at block.
At the top.
At the top.
Oh, yeah, this one.
And we can just grab the first one.
Yeah.
We have an invariant here that there's only one.
Side by side. So what they're saying is you can just do this instead. They actually do the exact same thing, more or less. This is saying set the base location to the 0th value of all of these locations. And since, so arrays are 0 indexed, meaning 0 returns the first element, and there's exactly one element, this will work just fine. And yeah, that's a little bit shorter and cleaner, so let's do that. So I set the base location, and now I'm going to set nest location. Oh, that's actually spawner location. I was thinking nest might be ambiguous. You might be thinking this is the nest if you interpret these as eggs, which I'm not saying that's what they are, but you know, the viewer could choose to interpret them that way. Great. So now we have a spawner location, and now let's do this path thing. So I'm going to say create a new variable, and I'm going to call it path, and I'm going to say going from, oh, I can do this handy. I've never done this. First time. Wow. From spawner location, create a get for that to base location. If you're like me and you didn't know this was here, it's very handy. Whenever you have a set variable block, you can say get to create a little block for the getting of that variable. Okay, great. So base location. Now we have a path. Wasps won't be using that path yet. Actually, you know what? It's going to be one block, so I'm just going to do it. I'm going to have the wasps follow this path, and then we'll also visualize the path in just a second. And the path is called path. And let's see if this works. Okay, now you can see the bees coming towards our base. That's pretty cool. I actually love to see that. Okay, but let's do a little bit of visualization as well. So just to prove that this path is just an array of locations, or at least allegedly it is, let's visualize it. So I'm going to say at this path location, I'm going to, let's use that X that I created earlier. Cool. So now this path that we created, we're visualizing it with all these X's, and we can see exactly how that works. Wow. That's pretty fun. Oh, it got rid of our base. That's fine. We didn't need that base anyway. Cool. So we've got hornets coming to our base, and contrary to previous games where usually there's no way to lose for a long time, I'm gonna say that we're just gonna lose as soon as a bee overlaps our base. And did I make these enemies? I did. So when, oops, actually I don't want this block. I want on player sprite of kind enemy overlaps base at location, something is going to happen. So the thing that's going to happen is I'm going to say game over, lose. Okay, so now we should lose the game, and then we'll have to, for the rest of the stream, add ways to try and win the game.
We also probably want to mute.
Press the mute button.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, so for those of you that have used Arcade, I'm sure you'll know that our default volume on the game over screen is a little bit loud, and this is, I don't know if I should say, but this has been a slightly contentious issue within the team. A lot of us think it should be a little bit quieter than it is.
I feel like every release I'm slightly lowering it, so it's getting better. Every release there's a bug for it that says like, hey, can we lower the volume? And so I cut it in half, and it was good.
Yeah, apparently the kids love it. That is the line we keep hearing. So we're gonna use our airtime to explain a little bit. Anyway, so now let's get to adding towers. So I think sorry, can you guys hear the crows in the background? Never mind. There's a bunch of loud crows outside my house.
That's a bad portent.
Yeah, I think I've seen that movie.
Yeah, they're incredibly loud. I don't know how you guys can hear it. I guess my headphones are doing a good job isolating. Okay, so let's create some stuff on these lily pads. So I'm thinking when you hover over lily pad, maybe our cursor changes to be like signify somehow that you can create something here. And then maybe when you hit the A button, you create a tower. What do you guys think?
Sure. So maybe we should take this moment to talk a little bit about what the mechanics are in a tower defense game.
Oh,
so
yeah, good point. Richard, do you want to tell us about tower defense games? How do they work?
Sure. So I think that Daryl's gone over most of it at this point, but you have all these enemies that are going down a path and trying to get to the end. You have locations where you can build towers, and towers are things that attack enemies in their immediate vicinity. So like it'll attack every sprite within X tiles or something. Usually you have like money, or you can only build so many towers. So you have to choose where you're going to build to them. That's why there's a bunch of different locations. Yeah, when the enemies get to your base, you lose.
Sweet, sounds good. All right, well, let's add some towers. So again, my thought is when you hover over a lily pad, something will change visually to indicate that you can build here. And then when you hit A, we'll consume some resources and build a tower. And maybe we'll have different types of towers. Maybe like B toggles different types you could build, and then A builds them. And then each one consumes money, and maybe get money by defeating Bs. That's often a mechanic in tower defense games. And then usually over time, the enemies get stronger and stronger. So you start off with just kind of a simple, weak little base that you need to get stronger and stronger in order to survive.
Maybe we pulled out the wasps too fast.
That's the other thing I forgot to mention is generally you have waves. So you'll have like a bunch of enemies coming out at once, then it'll stop for a bit. You'll get time to kind of move your towers around, and then the next wave will start.
I'm actually thinking eventually we could use a start countdown. So once this start countdown ends, we don't end the game. Instead, we spawn the wave, something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Lots of things to do. This is exciting. I think this might go beyond this stream because we're already halfway through. So let's see. I'm gonna see how far I can get on making these towers. So I think what I want to do is I think we can just use another overlap and say when the player overlaps a lily, then
so we're gonna have some problem here
because
we have the player as a ghost. We really need a specific just don't overlap walls thing.
Okay, so
stop walls.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is this trick that, if we don't have an event that does exactly what you need, often you can get similar behavior by using onGameUpdate plus an if statement. So let's try that. So I'm going to say when, let's see. So what do I want to see? Tile to left of sprite is, okay, so this looks like what we want. So tile to center of cursor is lily. Oops. Sorry, I keep moving the little teams window, and every time I do that, it pops up the big teams window.
Yeah.
We're
aware.
Actually, I'm going to move you guys over here, and then, okay, so tiles on center. This, for now, I can just say sprite say. This is our favorite way to diagnose kind of what's going on. So cursor's going to be happy when it sees a lily pad. Okay, awesome. So I think I'm gonna have a mode here, which is let's do like build location is equal to, oh, this is gonna be tricky. Can't get the location that is underneath my player unless I bring in that other extension, I think.
I think we need to probably.
Okay, well, I think it was inevitable anyway. So let's go get that tile maps extension. So it's called tile maps. And if we search for it, you should see this tile maps extension appear here. And now if I go here, we get a whole category of useful things you can do with tile maps. Things that we either didn't get to or couldn't fit into this category, and a bunch of other stuff to boot. Okay, so let's see. We want the location of my sprite. So I'm going to say build location is going to be the location of the cursor. So now I'm going to have this variable that sort of remembers where I can build. And in the case where we're not over Lily, then I think I need two variables. One to signal that we can build. Yeah. Often what you would do is use something called a sentinel value, which is like a special value. Often this in JavaScript is like null. But anyway, don't worry about that too much. Let's see. So can build is going to be a variable that is going to be true in the case when we're over lilypad. It's going to be false when we're not over lilypad. And then we can detect if we're able to build. All right, so now when we hit the A button, let's do some building. So if we can build, then I think we want to, let's see. So how I want to do this.
Location, you could just grab it here.
Oh yeah, since it's saved, let's make a function that's called, build tower. Ooh, tower. Okay, it's not tower. Well, yeah, I'm going to say tower. It's going to be a frog for now, but we might have other types of quote unquote towers later, and I don't know what the proper superset of those are.
Right, frogs, toads.
Tower of.
I thought that list was going to be longer.
Reptiles,
but
salamanders.
geckos.
Well, there's different types of frogs too. There's cool frogs.
Yes, and maybe there'll be a bird on our side. It's possible.
Those
I
fish
say.
that eat birds.
The alliance between the frogs and the birds has always been tenuous.
This is true. Okay, so on a button press, if we can build, we're going to build. And the way we're going to build is by creating a sprite that is going to be called frog. And this frog is going to be of kind tower. And okay, now I got to draw a frog. Oh boy. So it's going to be sitting on top of a green lily pad. Okay, so let's see, general shape, something like that with big old legs. And they're going to have, a mouth. That looks weird. Okay, starting with the green frog. Oh, now it's just a blob. I'm going to have to add some definition here. Man, this is where I really kind of wish Shannon was leading the stream.
Is this the same green as the
lily
lily
pad?
pad?
Yeah, you could start with toads because those are usually like
dark green,
grayish brown.
Oh,
that's true. Actually, there's so many colors of frog. I'll just pick any color that we want, and I'm sure there's a frog with that color.
Oh yeah, those weird jungle frogs that.
Yeah.
Plus, if it's bright, I think that means it's poisonous usually.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you Google, blue and orange frog, you will find something that looks like this.
Okay, but don't you want the poisonous frogs on your side, Joey?
Yeah.
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 No,
That's why he's on our side.
Perfect.
So the legs are blue, but otherwise good.
Oh, you Googled it, okay.
Yeah.
Or Binged it, whatever is, yeah. Sweet. The head looks too something to me. I don't know. Something's off. Anyone have any suggestions here?
Daryl.
I love the nose.
I think it should be a little bit pointy. But
Yeah. Cut off the top
Okay.
left pixel probably.
Yeah, top
And then
left.
give it like white around the eyes.
Mm.
And maybe get rid of the mouth.
Yeah, just give it like a big boop.
Oh dear. Get rid of the mouth?
Yeah.
I kind of, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That looks
good
good.
call, Richard. Man. Ooh, saved me from
Looks
disaster
great.
there.
Well,
Yeah, it does look really great when you zoom out.
All right. Let's say we're going to place the frog on top of, we have the special variable, which is our build location. Okay, let's see how this works. So I'm pressing A, nothing happens. And when I go to lily pads, I can build some lilies, some frogs. Now, the frogs just, watch the bees go by. So be it. Well, I'm really tempted to try and rotate these frogs programmatically, but I think I will leave that for later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would be really cool, but be the remainder of the stream.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so now we've got these towers, these frogs. Now what we want to do is have the frogs attack the bees when the bees come by. Or, sorry, not bees, wasps. Is there a name for the family of things? Are wasps and bees? They must be in the same, like...
It's a Vespidae.
Vespidae. Okay.
Should have remembered that from Final Fantasy.
I will just say wasps. I was hoping that I could use that word. But I will not. Cool. So there's one thing I meant to do with this. I just kind of want to change the visual of our sprite or of a cursor so that you can build a frog.
color.
So to do that,
Oh yeah, Shannon's right.
oh, you could do fill color. So my idea real quick, and then you guys can tell me if this is bad, was actually just to make the cursor a frog.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Go back to this. So let's see kind of how this looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
And then if we have more later on, we could make it so you could like toggle between them with that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
click
that
different
takes
buttons.
care of the selection UI too, which is
Yeah, just press B to switch the one you're gonna place.
Sweet. Okay, cool. I already kind of like this. I feel like there's a few games you could make with these mechanics. Okay, so attacking. So let's think through the options here. We want the frog to attack the closest bee, and we probably only want the frog to attack a bee that's within a certain distance. Otherwise, all the frogs will be attacking all the bees all the time.
I do have one idea for this, but
yes,
it's not going to be the traditional targeting whatever's close by, but we could just make it so they kind of continuously fire.
Yeah.
And then we could just do our normal projectile type stuff for dealing with the damage and things.
Yeah. Actually, I like that idea. I think that's a great way to start anyway. And we can always, if we're gonna have more towers, maybe in another stream, or maybe, who am I kidding? Another stream. Then we could go to some more sophisticated behavior. So yeah, let's add projectiles for now. And I think the projectiles have to be the tongues, right? Like that's kind of the only thing that makes sense here. That would be awesome.
If it's a poison frog, it could spit poison.
I don't think that's how poison frogs work. I think they mostly secrete it through their skin, right? When you try and eat them or something.
That sounds like it's going to be a little bit late, though. Right?
Man, I feel like this stream is actually sort of dicey animal facts that are probably misleading. Okay, let's add the tongue. So let's do this on. I'm thinking if I do a game update, all frogs will shoot their tongues at the exact same moment. Is that fine?
So they'll have to be directional, though.
They will have to be directional, yes.
These colorful frogs are often called poison dart frogs. And that's because they're used to make poison darts, but they could just shoot darts.
Yeah, they could be.
They could. I think the
it
tongues
would
are
be
really
fun.
good.
Playing
I,
the dart technology.
It's like a visual pun. It's fun.
I really like the
Good.
tongue, but I also want that to be the one that's like angled, so you can see it like go out at an angle directly towards the.
yes, but we can do both. We can start with this, and then we can get angled tongues. When we want. I am going to start with tongue though, because I don't know. I just think that'll be really fun. Okay, so I think I have an idea how to do this. So I'm going to use the lifetime thing. So we have this trick that we do whenever we want a timer, and I'm going to say frog set lifespan. So lifespan usually means after a certain number of milliseconds, the that sprite will get destroyed. But it turns out you can, because this is code, we get to do whatever we want. We can do other things than just destroy the sprite. And in this case, I'm not going to destroy the sprite. Instead, oh, actually, this is a little bit tricky because the way I do this, right, is I recreate it.
Mm-hmm. The lifespan will.
Can I say undie right here? That's not a thing, right?
You can just recreate it in the same. Sorry, Richard. Go on.
You could make a function called like clone sprite that takes in a sprite and then just creates another one in the same location with the same image. And that would make it so that for all of these different towers, it's a lot easier.
Good idea. Okay, clone sprite. This is handy. So it's going to take in any sprite at all. It's actually going to be generic, so it's not even about frogs. And this is going to say, let's create a sprite. And we'll call this new sprite. And it's going to be of kind. Okay, we're going to have to set a lot of properties here. So this is not how I set kind, I think. Okay.
So you can just, there's a get kind of sprite, and you could just put it inside of that create.
Sweet. Oh, I see. Yeah. New sprite. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit fast so I can get all this done. So I'm dropping in the old sprite kind here, and I think I can do this. So I'm gonna go and get the image of our old sprite and create the sprite with that. And then I'm gonna actually just set the X and Y property. Like we don't need to set it on like use the tile location thing.
We need to give it lifespan.
Well, you could do that outside the function.
Yeah,
But we have to but we can't return the function, so we'll just have to use the global.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
The other way of doing return values.
Actually, I think we won't need to use a global. Let me try something. So instead of setting the lifespan here, I can pair these up. So on created of kind tower, then we can lifespan of the tower, and then on destroyed of kind tower, then we can clone the tower, and that will create a new sprite which will trigger this.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So sorry if that was a little fast and complicated to follow. Basically, this function takes in a sprite and creates a new sprite that has some of the properties of the old one. It's got the same image, the same kind, the same X, and the same Y. It's not a true clone. True cloning, you would take every property, but that's fine for now. And we have this handy function here that is on sprite of kind created, which is really useful for setting things when things are created. And cloning creates a new thing, so this is going to call this again. So what we have in effect is a timer. Every 500 milliseconds, these frogs will be destroyed and recreated. And what's so helpful about that is we now have this undestroyed event, which we can do certain things like these tongues. So I'm going to try this out and kind of see how far we get. So I'm going to say from this sprite of kind, I need those noses. Okay, there we go. We're going to create a tongue, and I'm going to say this is tongues like that, right? Yeah. Okay, let's make this smaller. Let's say 8 by 4 or something. And it's going to be like that.
Oh, so it's going to fire its tongue.
Well, I have a different idea for this, but let's get it. Okay, so now it's shooting these tongues. So first of all,
It's kind of a one-time thing, one-time initiative.
That's why they're dying, and we're good. Yeah.
They're coming a little fast. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that the tongue is going to stretch out. Oh, actually, what I want to do is something like we did in the grappling hook thing, which is I dynamically draw a line from the sprite to its tongue head or something. Ooh, that's a lot.
I think we need to make an extension for just drawing lines and stuff. That would probably
Yeah, we do. How far could I get? So let's see. What is draw a line in picture? So what I could do is set the tongue picture to the right of the sprite. It would just be how many tile widths do I need to be? I could just assume 2 tile widths always, and I can move these to lily pads so that you always have 2 tile widths, or 1 tile width.
So you also have to do it in every single direction, right? So
yeah.
up, down, left, right.
Shoot. Okay. I think it's gonna be a little complicated to get the tongue kind of going out and back in at a dynamic size in the remaining stream. So I'm going to pivot and say that it is like spitting something instead. And then we can get back to tongues later, maybe at a different tower or a different time. Let's see, does that kind of look like spit or something? Oh, I gotta create some frogs.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Good enough for that. So I'm going to say when a sprite of kind projectile overlaps an enemy, then we want to destroy both of those. Destroy that sprite and that sprite. And furthermore, I think we should get some points, and we'll probably use these points to build towers. Actually, this is going to be so quick. I think I'm just going to do this right now, which is I'm going to say at the beginning of the game, we start with 20 points, and each tower we build, when I call build tower, is going to change score by -5 or something. We can always tweak these. And I'm going to wrap this in an if statement to say that you can only build a tower if the score you have is above or equal to 5. So what I just did, hopefully, if everything works out, is I just added some sort of money system. So now I can build some towers, but once I run out of points, then I can no longer build towers. And we get points as the bees come through. And I think no bees are going to make it. Oh, one made it.
Oh, tower.
And I keep saying bees. They're wasps. Great.
We should have like a jar we have to put money into whenever we say it wrong.
Yes. Sure. Okay, so I think the thing I want to do next is make it so that these projectiles come from the right.
I think we're offline.
Oh no.
Mixer says we're offline.
Yeah, me too.
OBS says it's still streaming, and I'm recording, so let's just keep going.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Good to know. Okay, so yes, let's have these things fire from the other direction when you fire from the other side. So this frog is cheating. It's shooting through the walls. Shouldn't be able to do that. Actually, why is it able to shoot through the walls?
Because it's starting inside of a wall.
Yeah, because the lily pad is a wall, so it's clipping. It won't go through the next set of walls. It'll just go through the continuous block that it's.
And you can see that from. Okay, so I think what I want to do is say, if it's gonna, let's see, when the projectile starts, I'm gonna check the tile to the left, the right, top, and bottom. The first one that's open, it's gonna shoot. It's gonna shoot that way, which I think just means that we need to make sure we have walls on the top and bottom of any row of lily pads like this. How does that sound to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. We can just make it so there's always one direction that doesn't have a wall.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm actually going to fix up the tile map to do that before I forget. So all I'm going to do is go to my tiles, click these little guys, and pen in these locations here. And I'm going to remove these two because I don't really know what to do with these yet. And I don't think that's super important. So let's get rid of those and let's do this. Cool. Also, one thing I didn't mention about the cool pathfinding thing that Joey has is that it'll work if we create a bunch more levels for a game. The pathfinding will just work, which is very cool. You don't really have to think about it too much as you're designing, other than making sure there is a path. Okay. Now let's do that little bit of logic on the creating projectiles. So actually, I think I'm going to create a function for this, which is make frog projectile, and it's going to take in a projectile, which is the frog. And I'm going to try and bring this down to my other code that has to do with this. My code is very disorganized right now. Actually, I'm going to do this thing, which is right click and say format all. A lot of times this is pretty annoying. I think in this case, it's actually kind of helpful.
Yes, careful if you do that in your program though, because you might not like the results.
Yeah, the computer will do something, and it may or may not be what you wanted.
Is that undoable?
I think it's undoable.
I think so. So it's probably fine.
Yeah, it's probably fine. Just go ahead and try it.
Okay. Oops. So we're gonna say, okay, there we go. By the way, the next release of Arcade is gonna improve the ability to drag and drop between blocks significantly. Anyway, so when projectile, we're creating a projectile. So what we want to do is check the 4 directions, and we can do that to say, is it one of the base ones? We just say tile to the left of my sprite is.
Yeah.
Well, we want to see if it's a wall.
Map. Checking wall is in tile map.
Okay. So actually, do we need to check tile map, or we could just check for blank, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think we could do this without. Actually, except that tile map does have this. I'm just thinking here real quick if there's an easier way to do this. An array of all adjacent locations or something would be pretty handy. Okay, I'm just going to do this with a big old if statement. They're fine. So I'm going to say if the tile to the left of the frog, and we want to go left. Otherwise, and we have 4 cases here. So left, right, up and down. So I'm going to use the Richard system to do all of these. So tile to top of frog is blank. Then the velocity of this guy. So I'm going to start with the velocity at 0, 0. So I only need to set 1 component. I'm going to set the tongue velocity in the y direction to be, -50, was it?
Mm-hmm.
And when it's bottom, it's going to be the opposite of that. And when it's to the right, it's going to be not Vy, but Vx. And that's going to be positive. And when it's to the left, it's going to be a negative Vx. I think this is going to work. So let's see.
Projectiles give up.
I
would just make it a sprite instead of a projectile and explicitly set the kind. Oh no, because you set a new place on top of.
I think the easiest thing to do would just be bring out the node, change it to 0, 0, and then bring out the set velocity block, and then set it to 0, 0 before the if statement.
I mean, this basically works, right?
Yeah.
So what's happening here is when the Vx and Vy are 0 and 0, that's a special case, and to Arcade, that means pick a random velocity x and y in kind of any direction. it's in this case it's not what we want. I think, you know, 1 is such a small number, it's basically fine, I think. So let's see. So if I place one here, firing that way. When I place one here, firing down.
Awesome.
And sweet. I am going to make this projectile round, just because otherwise it's a little weird when you're firing top down. So I don't really know what this is made out of. It's like spit, I guess.
Poison spit.
Acid.
Well, let's see. It's a green and orange frog. Let's add just a little bit of green and orange to it. Kind of.
What is that?
Flesh-colored spit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, what's happening here?
What is happening there?
That's
Good
interesting.
question. But I think it might be a question for another stream because Jacqueline's on after this are out of time.
We're out of time.
Yes.
All right, so
I
we've got
mean,
frogs,
Not
Nice.
streaming.
and we've got points that we can earn, and we've got the start of a tower defense game. Thanks everyone for watching. I am Daryl from the MakeCode team at Darzu on the forum.
I'm Shannon at Shakao on the forum.
I'm Richard at Richard on the forum.
And I'm Joey at JWonderl on the forum.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. In a minute, do we have a name? Anyone got woody ideas?
33 Froggy?
Frogger.
Yeah, that's totally valid.
Yeah. Okay, we'll think about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop
thank-
the stream though because Jacqueline's gonna start.
Yes.
So we'll
All right,
come up
sounds
with something
good.
before we post it.
We're not
guys.
sure.